that's been clanking on and off all day. It's shocking anyway. Did you hear that?
I heard that.
So, fun fact, it's actually been a couple days since our last shoot here, but it is thankfully much warmer. Hoping for an active few days. This week we are actually here with Aleksandar Petakov again. So Alex hasn't been here since we were filming Beyond the Trail back at the very beginning of September. And that was a very quiet introduction to this property compared to how things have been since. So I'm hoping we can really show him just how active the area can be, and maybe he can give us some input on what might be going on here. We're gonna do one big night of Bigfooting, which is tonight, and then tomorrow night we'll be here, but it will probably be slightly less active because my son's here with us. Yeah, we'll see how things go.
For years I've been following the Bigfoot phenomenon from the sidelines. As a documentarian, I don't try to insert myself into the stories I'm telling, but rather simply document them. While I appear in some of our film projects, and have even made films that are uniquely personal, I ultimately want to tell stories about other people, rather than focus on myself. So while I've been a part of investigations in the past, it's never been my own approach. I don't even know what my own approach is. While there are a number of Bigfooters who journey around the country chasing sightings, I wanted my approach to be one where I would head into an area with activity and hunker down in that same spot and just kind of see what happens. My friends in the North American Wood Ape Conservancy have been taking this particular tactic for years in a place they call Area X in Oklahoma. It's one that they've seen great success with. I even had some experiences of my own in Area X back in the summer of 2018. Luckily, I found this place in the heart of Minerva that seemed to offer me exactly what I wanted. Activity year-round on a scale I'd never experienced before. But would it keep up year-round? As summer gave way to fall, I was beginning to notice a decline in what I perceived as evidence for the target species' presence, and a new question was beginning to form in my mind. Not just how to look for these creatures, or what tactics to utilize to create an interaction. No, the question now was, what happens when nothing happens? How long until you abandon ship? Is there a limit to my patience for searching for something that, while present, no longer makes itself known?
We are tonight going to basically create like a campfire in the woods up here. The other time we came into these woods, Mark Matsky and I hiked up this creek bed, and then my plan is to go further up the creek bed here and set up a fire and just kind of have him fleur the woods around me, and we'll probably do that for a couple hours, and then I think he wants to be out here by himself and do some audio stuff, and I'll probably head off somewhere by myself as well. So I think tonight the plan is to do a little bit of work together and then head off on our own. But for now I'm just going back up the to where I'll be tonight and try to figure out where I want to actually put the fire. Right about here is where I was Alex is here.
What's going on, guys?
All right.
Yeah.
We're going to take the logs back to the fire pit that we have. We're going to try to mostly burn the wood that's in the forest around, but everything's wet here too, so we're going to have to get something going first. So that's what we're doing right now. We're going to go find a bunch of sticks.
These sticks are soaking wet, so...
That's why we brought dry wood.
It might take a moment. Look at that, bam.
Heather wants me to go walk into the woods alone. So that's what I'm doing. It's pretty quiet out here right now, honestly. There's not much of anything happening. So maybe we can elicit some sort of response or something if I go up here. Because right now it is quiet. Tell you what, it feels dead to me out here. Now, the last 2 times we've been out here, it feels absolutely dead. I don't know if it's just that they're not moving as much because there isn't the leaf canopy, or if they've moved on from this spot. There's been small sounds here and there, but otherwise the activity has declined dramatically from week to week since the leaf canopy started coming down, since fall hit. It's starting to feel to me like there's nothing out here. I hope that's not the case. That's how it feels. By the way, that is how this stuff actually works, regardless of what your favorite TV show tells you. Yeah, I thought this was going to be a cool idea, but now that we're down here, I'm like, maybe... I mean, the thing is, I don't know where they travel through.
Yeah, if they got a larger area than me, other animals, in general, have a corridor.
Are you hearing, like, football over that way, Heather?
I mean, I'm hearing something move. I don't know if it's footfalls.
Alright, so we got a megaphone here. I don't have the attachment to hook it up to the little voice box thing, but I can play the creepy music. You guys want to hear the creepy music?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Are you kidding me right now?
step over here and I'll crank it.
Yeah. Can you record as that one?
I don't know what that song even is. That's right. We hear this at 3 in the morning, this tune coming at us from the woods.
That would be not, no.
I see this a lot. So the reason you do stuff like this, I think, is typically like to draw in curiosity, right?
Yeah,
You're trying
I mean,
to get the curiosity of these things.
if these things are related to humans or primate-like, there's a curiosity there. I mean, I think there's tons of evidence that shows that apes are not really... They don't just do things by instinct. They're curious. They're mischievous. I mean, this is seen in monkeys, different types of great apes. It seems like a lot of encounters are triggered by people just doing stuff around a fire or in a campsite, having strange things happen, or visitors, let's say. So, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you just try weird things, like a megaphone, see if, you know, has anyone done a blasting weird megaphone music through the woods out here before?
No.
I think we've call blasted Gregorian chanting, which was something I did in X, and I thought was kind of interesting because the night we did it, we had stuff happen.
Stuff going on.
We did baby crying, but we had no responses to either of those things.
Yeah.
And then last week, I was like just blasting John Denver music for about an hour.
Right.
Just because like it was
I don't know,
quiet,
I think
and
maybe
was
not
trying
John
to-
Denver. You should try Stompin' Tom Connor's Sasquatch song.
We'll get around to it. But honestly, I'm just trying to make noise there so then they get curious and come check us out, I think.
As I was reviewing footage for this episode, I came across something interesting. A strange light in the forest behind Aleksandar and I that seemed to be sitting inside the more secluded section of the creek bed behind us. The camera is actually facing away from the cabin at this point, meaning it's pointing away from the only source of light in the immediate area and back towards simply forest. What the light might be is anyone's guess, but it's worth pointing out that even in the midst of an investigation that, thus far, had featured no activity whatsoever, there was still the presence of something strange.
Right past the cabin toward the pine woods, that's been clanking on and off all day.
Okay.
Might be
Yeah,
the
maybe
same.
it. Yeah, I'd be really curious to see. Obviously, you know, it's just a branch noise, so I can't say definitively anything, but that's the only weird thing that really caught my attention. And she didn't hear it. I, you know, wasn't really paying attention to that. I just kind of happened to catch it. But aside from that, nothing super unusual. I know there's a lot of leaf litter here, but last time when I was in that tree stand, I got surrounded by coyotes and I could not hear them. If I didn't have the floor, I probably would have had no idea they were there. I was actually shocked how silent they were in this kind of underbrush.
Mm-hmm.
It's shocking anyway, because
Did you hear that? Heather?
I heard that.
What was that?
I don't know.
It was like a cow moo. Where's the floor?
It's right in the...
Let's just keep doing our thing and I'll covertly.
Yeah, you heard a noise? See, I didn't hear that. What did you hear?
It was like a yell of some sort, but not like human. Like, I don't know how to explain it.
It was like, first thing I thought it was like a moo, like sounds like a.
I don't know. Remember the night we were out here and we kept thinking we were hearing sheep?
Yeah.
I mean, is there cow farmers around here?
There's a cow farm.
It's that way.
It's pretty far. I'd be surprised if you were hearing
This vocalization at first seemed like nothing more than a distant howl, or even possibly a cow. It's still a mystery as to what it was, but does not appear to be a cow or a coyote. The closest cows would be far too distant to be heard at this section of the property, and the voice seems too deep to be a coyote. The mysterious sound was, again, accompanied by movement on the ground in the forest around the creek bed, but it was nothing that we could definitively state was footfall.
We wouldn't have seen you if it had.
It's shocking anyway. It's shocking anyway.
That's the thing, it's a windy night too, so...
It's been windy the last few, even the weekend Mark was in here when it was active, it was real windy. He would like leave the recorder out at night and it would just be constant like.
Yeah.
I'd do a couple of more alarm things. I think that just went high and... I don't even know.
I heard it too.
You heard it too?
Up there, yeah. Up on the hill.
Directly up there.
Mm-hmm.
We are cleaning up our campfire, makeshift campfire in the woods here. Pretty quiet down here, so we're gonna go back to the cabin, I think. We did have like a really clear wood knock earlier. From which direction was that? Back toward the cabin? It was kind of back toward the cabin. Yeah, so I think, you know, maybe because of the leaf canopy being so diminished and the moon being so bright tonight, this might just not be the best place for us to be doing this. They might not feel like they have enough cover here. So I think we're gonna head back and see if we can maybe get some activity back at the cabin or near the cabin. So yesterday we heard what sounded like a very clear knock coming from the hill up behind the cabin on this side over here. There's also a tree limb back here that has been banging around, so you got to be careful because some of what we hear can be deadfall. So what I want to do right now is walk up this hill and see if I can look up in this woods, because I actually haven't been in these woods before. I mean, I've been in the woods directly behind the cabin, but I haven't been in the inside the pine trees up there. So that's where I'm heading.
I'm up behind the cabin right now on a pretty steep cliff. Ground is really wet here, so I'm kind of looking for tracks or something. Nothing so far, but I just made it to the pine woods, and that's the tree behind me. So, and keep in mind, the only reason this is interesting to me, it's interesting because we hear so many wood knocks and stuff from up here. So that's why I wanted to come up here, honestly. We haven't actually walked around up here. But I made it up to the pine forest here. Climbing over this dead tree. Walk in here. So, I just came out of the forest. Now I'm up behind the cabin. Down here is the forest with the dead deer we found with Les, and that's also the same forest where the abandoned cabin is. Over here is basically the woods up behind where the cabin is, and I guess I'll just walk down the hill back down to the cabin. I'm standing there.
Wait, so what did you hear? What happened?
I was taking a leak, and I just looked up, no noise at all. There's 4 coyote coming down out of that pine forest I was in earlier, down this way toward me. We had just heard gunshots.
Yeah, it was probably after the gunshot.
There's gunshots, but they're gone now. They were right running down here, no noise, none.
How many?
4.
4?
4 of them.
Oh.
Big. Chasing coyote, the woods. Without a sound, they were moving right on this hill, running perpendicular along the hill up behind the cabin. Cabin's right behind me back there. Right back there. And yeah, now we're up here and they're gone. So tell you, this is a wild, wild place.
I just did a mad dash up that hill, and I found the pipeline cuts. Perfect place for stuff to travel or traverse through. Thing is, you got woods on this side, smaller set of woods, but coyotes probably went into there. That gunshot would have spooked them. Possibly some sign they were running. A couple other impressions. It's hard to tell. Could be deer. Not easily distinguishable in these conditions. Thought I just heard some yipping over there. Right in there. Might be some in there. No such luck, they seem to be gone.
The property here is massive, and neighboring properties are open to us as long as Corwin is with us. Today, he was going to take Alex and I to an adjoining chunk of land for some brief exploration. We'd be heading back to the cave so Alex could get a look before we headed into the dense woods nearby. We didn't really have a game plan here, other than to learn more about the area. It had been a quiet trip so far when it comes to Bigfoot activity, but between the coyote run-in and the ongoing pursuit to find a suitable area where these creatures could be bedding down during the winter months, it had been educational. Maybe that's all we'll have for a while, until they start making themselves known again. So we're back down in the area of the cave. Gonna hike back to the cave because Alex hasn't seen it back here.
You know, Seth, on the way back, we could just shoot down a creek and just walk up the hill from inside.
Okay.
It's not like it would be any harder than
Yeah.
going up the trail. North past the cave.
Oh, look at that. All right.
I've already been in. Great. Yeah, good.
Did you go up in here?
All the way.
All right, so I'm in the cave. It's there's not enough room to quite stand, and I'm probably getting a ton of bugs on me doing that. But it's really warm in here. This would be a perfect place to hide out. There's a little bit of a flowing river. That's the only downside, I suppose. But it's pretty spacious for a bear, for sure. For a person, if you really needed to, totally could. Maybe for Sasquatch, I don't know. I don't know what the vulnerability would be in here. Maybe during the winter months might be better. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. Yeah, I didn't really waterproof my boots well enough before this trip.
Alex, a lot of people don't think of Ohio as having like a habitat for these things. What do you think of that?
I mean, for these things, I tend to look at the other environmental factors at play. So, can a habitat support other large mammals and other prey species? You know, is there a chain?
Yeah.
If these things are just transiting through areas, there's plenty of space in Ohio where you could go into the West Virginia, parts of Pennsylvania, southern Ohio, where there's national forest land. So they don't necessarily have to be in areas like this all the time, transitory, but there certainly is plenty of habitat for other large mammals, bears, deer, coyotes, other things. So I think, yeah, I'd say Ohio probably has suitable habitat if we base it on the model of what other Sasquatch requirements are sort of needed, which is obviously very unofficial. You know, there's nothing certainly known, but
I don't know, you get down in here and but there's
but this is like a similar thing to how it's like in my state of New Hampshire. We have a lot of wilderness areas, and there's not a lot of sightings from those areas because there's just not as many people. The areas where there's sightings are like this, where you have patches of large tracts of woods in between fields and farmland, and that's where the sightings are coming from. Similar kind of thing here, but maybe here it's just more culturally ingrained in people's minds, like they know of the Minerva story, maybe heard of some of these things. I don't know. You guys hearing something?
Did you hear anything?
A little bit of footsteps, probably something small over there.
Okay, I thought I was hearing a vocal or
Is
something.
there like gas?
Yeah, he said petroleum maybe.
Well, there's probably a well or something around.
Smells pretty, I don't know.
Yeah, I saw the other day when it was warm before the rain, you could see, you know, oil on the water.
Yeah, I can definitely smell something funky. There's a twofold thing with the bears here. On the one hand, people don't see them often, so the chance of misidentifying something for a bear there aren't very many bears. On the other hand, if they don't see bears often, they might not be familiar with what bears can look like in strange light or strange conditions. Certainly a factor.
Less of a risk here with that happening. Well, we're on our way out. It is almost nighttime, which is hard to tell by this camera right now, but it's getting dark out here. We're leaving the woods, and Alex and I both heard like a pretty clear wood knock.
I was walking up here and talking, and I heard it right to the back of me. I immediately turned around and said, "Hey Seth, what did you hear?" He said, "Oh, it sounded like I just heard a wood knock." I don't want to feed him what I heard, so it kind of confirms that I heard something. I mean, could be anything, but a little.
We have been hearing gunshots, so it could have also been a distant gunshot.
For sure. Cannot rule that out.
Hopefully this summer we can do some camping and spend a little bit more time in these woods, because it's super dense in some areas here. The weekend has passed without incident, I would say. We had one sort of strange wood knock, and other than that, it was really quiet. I think maybe reality television has sort of pre-programmed us to think that when you go into the woods at any point, you're going to encounter a Bigfoot. Obviously, that is not the case. I've spent the better part of my time as a filmmaker, which is now 7+ years, in locations where there are supposed to be Bigfoots, where there's supposedly Bigfoot activity. The amount of activity I had actually experienced was minimal in that 7 years until we came to Minerva. It's probably disingenuous of me to expect activity every time I'm here. And so in that way, I guess this trip was a good lesson in the reality of what this is actually going to be like. One thing I'm enjoying doing is exploring the surrounding property and getting an idea of just how much forest there actually is here for them to hide, and getting to show you guys that, I think, is kind of a benefit as well, because this is Ohio. A lot of people don't think of Ohio as being a forested area, but there are these huge parcels of forest like we have here. I'm a little disappointed. It was quiet. There was this was a strange experience to be in here and have no wood knocks, no weird kind of vocals of any kind, no footsteps in the dark, nothing. It was just quiet. But I think that's reality. I think that's what most Bigfooters experience every time they go in the woods. And a part of this is going to be finding something to latch onto that kind of keeps me coming out here beyond just having experiences. So that's what I'll be doing for the next few months, is trying to figure out what is the thing that's going to drive me into these woods if I'm not experiencing anything.